Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Teen suspected suicide. Brothers wanted for murder. And later in sports, under 21 Sunshine Girls set winning start in Netball Youth World Cup. Now the details. The family of a teen suspected to have committed suicide is speaking out this afternoon. The 16-year-old student was found dead at home early Sunday. As you'll hear in this report, the grieving family believes issues at his school may have played a role in the tragedy. Tears, wails and disbelief filled the yard of the Surgeon family in Setting District, Albert Town, Trelawney, Sunday morning. This as relatives and neighbors try to come to terms with the tragic death of 16-year-old Jamar Surgeon, affectionately called DJ. Jamar is suspected to have taken his own life in the early hours of Sunday morning. His stepfather, Leroy Melbourne, says he was the last person to have spoken to him.
All me know say last night when me see him, me say to him, say, if he not ready to go in bed in 1 o'clock, he said no, because you never eat nothing, he said go fry 2 egg. Me say, remember, say syrup in the fridge and bread, did it? Me left him, and me go in. And I run in at 2 o'clock. Me hear one scream when me look. He mother said, DJ hen. When me get up out of my bed and me go in, me go see DJ hang up in the kitchen top with one big something like one like kerchief in around the neck and turn up a sack.
Mr. Melbourne says Jamar, a student at Homo Technical High School, never showed any signs of depression. He says after his stepson took his life, he left behind a note and his phone open.
I don't know why letter say, because the policeman them take up a letter and them read it. So they have a letter. He write in a one book. Wow, so I something when I plan long time. You know, just get up a mobile night. I something when plan. But we never know say my plan because when we see him last night, if me didn't know say that they planning having a female, he couldn't hang. He wouldn't hang last night. Maybe they hang one that day, but not last night.
Family members are still trying to come to terms with what happened. The Ulster Spring Police have launched an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the suspected suicide.
You know, and that's just with money problem. For me, give money to spend. Me see that's in all right. I'm hungry. Food that share this yard more than any other yard. So I'm hungry. And the problem no cause so in a yard, the problem cause for a school. A school the problem cause from. School.
Oh, you strongly believe so?
Yeah, man, a school problem. Because to why you write. We don't get here and give out the letter yet, why write in a letter, but a school problem. The police them take your phone and take your letter, them answer right. We will get back your phone, but them have to hold the letter them. So them are going to run to your phone and know who I last somebody went to talk to.
In late July, 3 suicides were reported in a single week. Since the beginning of September, at least 2 additional cases have emerged. There are renewed calls for increased mental health support in schools and communities, particularly in rural areas where access to counseling services remains limited. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental wellness, please contact the Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Helpline at 888-NEW-LIFE. That's 888-639-5433. A heavy cloud of grief hangs over the Titchfield High School this afternoon. This following the tragic death of one of a student who drowned on Sunday. According to reports, Vijay Popley was swimming with schoolmates at Bikini Beach in Portland on Sunday when he experienced difficulties and disappeared beneath the water. The incident triggered an extensive search effort involving firefighters, local fishermen, and community members. After several hours, Popley's body was recovered from the water around 1:35 p.m. He was later pronounced dead at hospital. On Monday, TVJ News visited Titchfield High, where emotions were raw, with many in tears and struggling to come to terms with a sudden loss. One student who reportedly tried to save Vijay from the water is said to be deeply traumatized by the ordeal.
He's not sleeping. He's not eating. He says his stomach is sick. He wants to throw up because he actually saw when they took him out. out of the water because he was there. He's crying. He's not a child who cries. And he tried.
Staff members are working closely with the Ministry of Education to ensure adequate psychological support is provided to those affected.
It's never easy to get over any form of loss. It's not the type of news we hope for, but it's a part of life, and we will just have to provide the necessary support. What you will realize, those two accidents, it's not on the school compound, even though it affects this school and the students. Society as a whole, we'll just have to try to make greater efforts in making our environment as safe as possible for our children.
Vijay's death has reignited concerns about water safety among students.
Well, we have our counselors. They are trained to deal with this sort of trauma. It's not the first that they have done so, and you will expect that. On my way in, I spoke with the security personnel, and she was in tears because of the type of student that Mr. Popley was. And the students, they are still in shock, but with the relevant psychosocial support, we will help them to navigate.
The police have released the names of 2 men wanted in connection for the death of well-known jockey O'Neill Mullings. They're Samuel and Sean Brown, who are brothers. According to reports, Mullings, 49, was shot in the head Sunday on Thompsonview Avenue in Waterhouse. Police believe the attack followed a dispute earlier that day. Anyone with information should call Hunts Bay Police or Crime Stop. There is growing outrage over a series of deadly U.S. military strikes on alleged drug smuggling boats in Caribbean waters. O'Shane Masters tells us more.
Sociologist Reverend Peter Espute is condemning what he calls the arbitrary killing of alleged drug smugglers by the U.S. military in Caribbean waters. He was reacting on Radio Jamaica's That's a Wrap to reports of 3 U.S. airstrikes this month on suspected trafficking boats from Venezuela, including one that killed 11 people on September 3.
How I know that there's some funny business going on, Earl, is that I hear that there are these international waters that these boats were in. Now you look at a map of the Caribbean, there is not 1 square centimeter of international waters in the Caribbean. Every single inch of the Caribbean falls within the area of one country or another. There is none. So when they're shooting boats out of the water, it's in somebody's territory.
Development economist Dr. Chris Stokes also warned that the strikes mark a dangerous break from the global rules-based order.
The post-World War II world order, rules-based world order, constructed by the said United States of America, from which the said United States of America benefited from everybody else, is now being dismantled.
Human rights group Amnesty International is now sounding the alarm. Its U.S. Director of Security and Human Rights, Daphne Eviatar, says even if Congress authorizes military force, such actions would still amount to unlawful extrajudicial executions under international law. 2 U.S. Senators Kim Kaine and Adam Schiff have since introduced a war powers resolution to block President Donald Trump from using American forces against non-state groups without congressional approval. They argue blowing up boats without due process risks dragging the U.S. into another war. Meanwhile, Venezuela's Attorney General has called on the United Nations to investigate what he describes as crimes against humanity by U.S. forces in the Caribbean. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
It's been 5 days since the September 17 deadline for the removal of political paraphernalia, but many of the signs remain. As Sandy Williams reports, Kingston Mayor Andrew Swaby has warned that taxpayers will no longer bear the cost of cleaning up after political campaigns.
Mayor of Kingston Andrew Swaby was out bright and early Sunday morning, this time not to cast ballots but to cast down banners. Mayor Swaby, joined by municipal workers, hit the streets from as early as 6 o'clock, yanking down party colours still clinging to power poles and fences across the corporate area.
I must commend some of them from both sides who have taken them and signed, but there's a lot still out there that needs to be taken. What we have done today, we have gone along East Queen Street, Windward Road, Mountain View Avenue, some parts of New Kingston, and we have gone as far as Bull Bay.
He says the cost of cleanup shouldn't rest on the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation's shoulders when promoters of a simple party have to pay a bond to clean up after their events.
It's unfair for political parties to be putting up these signs and things and don't take them down, and yet the KCMC has to stand the cost to pay our municipal service come to work overtime for gas and the wear and tear of the vehicle. I think the time has come, and within 2 months, we at the KCMC will be having a discussion at the Building and Town Planning Committee meeting, and after that we will make it public to, about what is the charge we are going to charge them for future elections.
So while the election season is over, the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation says it's time for parties to put their money where their signs are.
But the time has come for the KCMC to consider us, to consider the political parties to pay a deposit or a bond. We will have some level of consultation on this matter. We will be speaking with the political ombudsman to make sure that they get a buy-in to what we are proposing, and we'll make our position public so persons can give their feedback on it.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
At least one social commentator is taking the government to task over what he sees as a lack of strong policy direction. Sandra Roden, who was a guest on TVJ's Smile Jamaica on Monday, says while several ministers under the last Jamaica Labour Party administration performed well, they fell short turning plans into law. According to Mr. Roden, a number of initiatives were widely promoted but have yet to translate into comprehensive frameworks in Parliament. He says the gap between the public announcements and legislative action has left many policies in the pipeline.
No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot more that we can do as it relates to policy, and I don't want anybody to lose sight of what I'm saying. Yes, the ministers have worked in their various portfolios, but do not forget that the major role of our governance infrastructure is policy implementation and policy direction. I think we can see way more from our ministers as it relates to policies being implemented and at faster rates, which is why the Prime Minister appointed Ambassador Audrey Marks to see how we can speed things up, because that might give the wrong impression of some ministers as well, because a lot of things are in the pipeline being planned, and then you don't hear about it. So it might skew your perception of what they're doing.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Trinidad and Tobago government said it expects successful bids shall be announced within 3 months following the ceremony of the 2025 Deepwater Competitive Bidding Round. 3 of the bids came from CNOOC, the largest producer of offshore crude oil and natural gas in China, and one of the largest independent oil and gas exploration and production companies in the world. The other is the US-based State Energy Ground Ports Consortium. Minister in the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, Ernesto Quesar, said that in all, 9 companies requested data packages, with the majority having deep water experience. The junior minister said that the next step is the commencement of a very comprehensive and transparent evaluation process as laid out in the Competitive Bidding Order 2025 contained in the legal notice number 20 of January 27, 2025. The Trump administration says a deal to keep TikTok operating in the United States should be complete in a few days. A group of U.S. investors will own 80% of the app. Chinese investors will own the remaining 20%. For the Business Minute, I'm Shane Masters.
Thank you, Shane. News now from around the world.
In the region, the Barbados Ministry of Health has confirmed 3 new mpox cases in adults since August, 1 woman and 2 men, bringing the total to 6 since 2022. None had recent travel history, though 2 were in contact with each other. According to the ministry, all are isolating at home as contact tracing continues. Mpox spreads through close or intimate contact, contaminated materials, or unprotected exposure in healthcare settings. Symptoms include rash or lesions, fever, headache, and swollen lymph nodes lasting 2 to 4 weeks. The Barbados Health Minister says all local cases so far have resolved. On the international scene, Super Typhoon Ragasa, known locally as Nando, is the strongest storm globally this year, hammering the northern Philippines with winds over 262 kilometers per hour and torrential rain. More than 10,000 people have been evacuated, with storm surges and flooding threatening Batanes, Babuyan, and northern Luzon. The typhoon is now tracking toward Taiwan, Hong Kong, and southern China, where officials have issued alerts and airlines are suspending flights. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
Thank you, Sandy. We take another break. Sports is next.